Say hi, Joel.
Hello.
Okay, so this is part two. And this part we're going to talk about the little bit of song that we wrote last week. We didn't write any more lyrics to it yet, but we wanted you to hear the instrument part and focus on that. So Joel went ahead and played around with it a little bit. So can you remind everybody what our little melody was?
Yeah.
Our short melody?
It was just very simple. It was just...
Okay, cool. And then you decided that there's different things you could do with this particular keyboard. Keyboards are interesting. They also come at all different prices, don't they?
Oh, yes. Definitely.
Yeah. Now, Joel bought this when he fancied himself to actually become a professional songwriter. And so he may have spent kind of a lot of money on it.
Yeah.
But it has a lot of cool bells and whistles. That means a lot of cool features to it. So, like...
Not as many features as they have these days. But...
Some of them do. They do have more... They don't look this cool, though. There's just so many fun buttons and gadgets and light-up gizmos on this one. This one has how many tracks that you can record?
This is a I believe
Five
a
track?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Oh,
it's actually a
6
6-track with a percussion section at the same time.
Okay, so really 7. All right.
Pretty much.
That's it. Plus, then you can play with
Yes.
it. So that's like, you can get up to 8 different instrument groups on here.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool. So one of the things that you were looking at was if you used a different instrument type, like what kind would you...
Well, you could definitely, we're just... That's our regular piano, but then if you wanted to do something like...
Okay, cool.
Make it do the strings. Or you could make it a flute.
Sure. Now, but if you wanted to go ahead and use something like the flute or another one of those instruments and create a complementary line that's not the melody and not the harmony, and maybe kind of like those cello things you were doing where it's not even on the same rhythm, where the rhythm is different. Right?
Well, as you remember last week when we were talking about the right hand and the left hand, and what does the left hand do? Well, the left hand can do a lot of different things, or just a few simple things. And a lot of times I'll just keep the left hand very simple because I am right-handed, and because I didn't really learn from piano lessons. I was trained by ear and just played around with it a lot myself. But it was more, it's usually the downbeat or the on-beat, as they say. So,
Right.
So see, this one is just doing.
Right.
So it's just a very simple complementary, something to complement the melody underneath it.
Sure.
So.
So can you show me something? Did you pre-record something, or did you want to show you messing around with?
Well, I pre-recorded a few things. I went ahead and made 3 separate tracks. One was just another complementary, something else the piano could be doing while we're playing the tune. One was just a bass track that was like we just did, the lower notes complementing the on beats, and then a little sub melody that came from the flute. I went ahead and just threw in there.
A sub melody.
Well, you would call it that. It complements the forward melody.
Like a counterpoint.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So can you go ahead and play one of those all by itself?
One all by itself. Well, sure.
Just play it.
We'll just.
Okay, nice.
There you go.
And then what was the other one?
The other one was the bass line. And we're going to lower that a little bit because it can tend to get a little loud.
Okay. Wow.
There you go. It's
Okay.
that simple.
And what's the third one that you recorded then?
And then the third one was the sub-melody, as I call it. But it's more just complementing the lead melody that the piano is doing. So this is just a flute. There you
Neat.
go.
Now, if you play all those three together, but don't play the melody line, can we hear what that sounds like?
Don't play the melody line?
Yeah.
Okay, sure. Let's see. That's
Cool.
the whole thing.
And now, could you do, just the, can you play the melody and play just the flute with it?
Just the flute?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. So if we just played the flute behind the melody, let's lower that one. So.
Wow, that's neat. Now, do it just with the bass.
Just with the bass now. Okay, let's see. I will lower that down.
Cool. Did you ever try doing a percussion with it?
No, I haven't. Not at this point, but I could.
Why don't you try that?
Well, because it could. I might have a little. Let's see.
Am I asking you to do something that...
No. So you could have something like that and just. Oops, that's my keyboard percussion.
Now that can act like a metronome, and that could change your beats
Sure.
per minute, right?
Right.
So you could move from the
Right
the
now
different...
we're playing at 100 beats per minute. We could play it down.
cool.
We can lower it down to 80 beats per minute.
Oh my God, this so explains it in a great way for everybody. We've been talking about beats per minute, and this really shows you what that means. Oh
Right.
my gosh, that's so cool.
So at 80, it would be a little bit slower. It would be more like a ballad. Whereas what we played before at 100 beats per minute was a lot more like a little bit more like
Okay,
an
so
upbeat.
that's a digital metronome, so you're
Yes. So you just change it.
change it
It's
to where you want
slower,
it.
faster.
So can you do it at 100 again?
Okay.
Okay, good. So if you tried it faster than that, it would start to get so fast that your fingers would have trouble hitting the keys, right?
Probably after a while.
Can you give yourself 110 and see what happens?
Sure.
There's 110. Oh my gosh. Okay, so there was a movie I saw once where a little kid was learning how to play violin, and his teacher kept setting the metronome faster and faster and faster. So when he first learned the piece, he learned it nice and slow.
Sure.
And for me, when I was learning how to tap dance, my teacher had a record player that could do that.
Really?
Yeah, it was an
Okay.
old-fashioned vinyl, you know, we used 45s, we used singles.
A tabletop,
So
yeah.
and she'd put the needle on it, and she would turn this knob that changed the beats per minute, just like that does, but not digital, analog. And she would start us off doing the dance super duper ooper slow, the way that I count it slow. But what was great was that we had the actual music playing for us slow, so that we got used to where the accents were in the rhythms of the song.
Sure.
So we all got to be really good sort of foot musicians because the music was integral to what we were doing. I feel like the kids today in tap classes have lost a little bit of that because they're expected to learn the dance up to speed instantly, and they don't get to really feel the music of it. But this is really cool for musicians that you still have these tools to use.
Sure.
All right, so
Very cool.
let's have you do okay, that was neat with the percussion. This particular keyboard will do different kinds of percussion too, right?
Yes.
So try a different style for us.
Well, you've got that's what's called an 8-beat, but if you want to double the speed, you can keep the same tempo.
No, I
at
want
100
something
beats
different,
per
something
minute,
totally different.
Or
Well, I like that.
16 beats.
But it's got a different feel to it. So
Right.
try it with that. Try playing with that. Now, for me, if I were writing the music and I were playing around with different rhythms, I much prefer that one to the other one.
Okay.
It makes me want to dance. So I really like that.
Okay.
Yeah. So can you put that piece with the bass piece? Can you do that at the same time, or can you not do that?
With the drums?
Yeah.
I
Will
don't
it
know if I
do
can
that?
do that now or not, because let's see.
Or do you need to record that as a?
You might need that with the drums.
Because are you at 100 beats
Let's
per
try
minute
that.
for the
Let's try
other
that.
stuff?
Okay. You like that one, right?
Yeah.
Okay. 1, 2, 1, 2. Try that. No, it won't do that.
Okay, all right.
It won't. It's already.
All right, that's
recorded,
cool.
so.
Maybe for another class. But why don't we
Sure.
go ahead and play the whole thing then? All three with the melody. We haven't done that yet.
Okay. We'll set that up. And then. There you go.
Yay, that's great. Okay, well, let's see. For the kids, what I think would be cool for you to do now is remember that your lesson last week was to listen to classical music, and that is fully orchestrated with tons and tons of musical instruments. And I had you draw as you were listening, right? You were drawing. So this time, I think what I need you to do is pick the one that you really liked, the piece of music that was your favorite, and put it on again right now. And I want you to still do the drawing because I think it's helpful, but I want you to listen to only one instrument if you can. Try and pick out one instrument and draw what that instrument is telling you. So let me show you what I mean. Joel, hand me that pencil. Okay, so I'm going to draw. Let me see it. Do I have a piece of regular paper here somewhere? Plain
Blank
paper. We have a
We
mess.
have blank paper. Grab a piece from up there.
Okay. In the meantime, everyone will know what kind of nerds we are because right here on your desk, besides all the printing stuff we're doing, we've got this is a signed poster of Journey along with a signed Journey disc.
Yeah.
Okay? And a TIE fighter because
Well, of course.
we are that kind of nerd. Nerds. So let me get a piece of paper here. All right. So let's try this. So Joel, let's see if this pencil's working. Yep, okay. So I'm going to just try and focus on the flute, okay? Go ahead and go for it, Joel.
Okay, so you want to do the whole thing again, right?
Yes, uh-huh.
Okay. Ready?
Mm-hmm. Okay, so it's not a picture of anything. It just reflects how I felt about that particular line of music, and it helped me listen to it. It helped me listen to the ups and downs and the highs and the lows of that particular instrument.
Mm-hmm.
Let's try it one more time, and this time I'm going to try focusing on the bass.
The bass.
Okay. Let's see if this changes.
Do you want to just play the melody with the bass?
Play
or
play
do
the
you-
whole thing
the
so that
whole
I can
thing?
just. I'm going to try and focus on the bass though.
All right. Let's see. Okay.
Didn't mean to get you seasick
Ready?
there. I'm just going for better light. Okay. Did that have all of them?
Yes.
Well, I thought I was hearing it, but I was having more trouble hearing the bass than I was the flute.
Well, that's because the flute is actually set louder. If
Ah.
you'd like to raise the volume of the bass.
See, that makes a difference, doesn't it? Try it
Yeah.
one more time and raise the volume of the bass a little bit. Okay.
See how that works.
I got a
And that's
much more
usually-
linear shape out of that than the flute. The flute, circly, circly, circly.
Yeah.
And I'm going with the bass, it's more like mountains.
Okay.
Yeah, that's cool. All right. So that's what I'd like you to do, but I want you to do it instead of with our little piece of music, do it with one of those full-length pieces of classical music that we listened to last week. And
Wow.
I would really like to know which one was your favorite. Here's what I'd like for you to think of doing for me. If you could have your parents help you out, and if somebody can help you, then can you write down for me what your favorite dance was that I showed you, your favorite vocal performance from musicals was that I showed you, and your favorite classical piece of music? That would be really, really helpful for me to know what kind of things you guys really like. Because sometimes what I like isn't what other people like. So I think it's important for me to know what other people like as well. And then I can share with you guys later what the big winners were, like what the popular songs were. Because when you're in class together and you're all voting on what songs you want to dance to, sometimes the group like energy affects what ends up being popular for the group. And this way, it's just you on your own with no one else around you to influence your feelings about something. So how do you really feel about each piece of music yourself? And which ones are your favorites? And if you wanted to, you could even tell me why. You know, what was it you loved about it? All right. And then if you could just maybe email that, have someone email that to the school, then maybe I could get the feedback for it. That'd be awesome. I would love it.
That would work.
Yeah, and I'm also trying to think of some way for us to showcase all of our talents here. We're at the end of the year coming up, and try and figure out some way to share all of that. So we're trying to figure it out. So we're working on it. And in the meantime, we'll talk to you later. Bye.